Hello YouTube friends, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for your support. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do that so that you don't miss any of the future videos. For those of you who are familiar with my channel, you may have noticed that I haven't been posting as many videos as I normally do. And that's just because there have been a lot of changes going on in my life, and they are all positive changes, but it doesn't afford me as much time to make the videos. So we'll at least be getting 2 to 3 every month. So this week's video is actually our September journal quilt block of the month. For me, September is all about the beginning changes of the colors when it comes to the fall season. I love it here in Wisconsin when we start to see the little tinges of reds and oranges and yellows start showing up on the edges of the leaves. And so that's what we're going to be working on this week, is this leaf shape that I have here on this quilt block. So stick around and I'll see you on the other side. I've cut my fabric and my quilt batting a little larger than 5 inches, and then I will trim that down to the 5 inches once I've completed my project. What I did do with my fabric is I did fold it in 4, creased it with just the fold lines on the fold lines so that I know where center is, and just to give me an idea on where I want to place my leaf shape. Now what you can do is you can take a piece of paper, you can trace a leaf, you can draw one out freehand on a piece of paper. And what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I want my leaf to be diagonal, and I'm not super concerned about it being symmetrical. Let's see here. And you can even, I'm just sketching it with a heat erase pen. And you can even put some fun, put a little curl to the tip of the leaf, whatever suits your fancy. So hopefully you can see that leaf shape there. And, you can do the stem of the leaf if you want. You can draw in the veins, however you want to do it. I'm going to be using my paints, the Dynaflow, and this is emerald green that I have here. And I'm going to give it a touch of red, orange, at the edges of the leaf. I want this to look like the leaf is just beginning to change colors, and that's just kind of indicative of what happens here in Wisconsin as we begin to get deeper into the month of September. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down my color, the green first, and I'm just using a round brush for this. And I'm not too terribly concerned about the color bleeding. And given that this is a batik, probably we'll see the lines from the batik pattern coming through, which I'm perfectly fine with. So it's going to bleed a little bit differently just because I think there's still some kind of resist in here. So you can see, because of the resist that's in here, it does tend to pull out in between the shapes. Like I said, I'm not terribly concerned about the edges being perfect. Just want a general leaf shape. So I'm going to take some of the turquoise color and just pull from the green out and away from the green. It's really interesting, the shapes that it's giving on the edge. I was wondering how this would work. I've painted this before with a different kind of paint, and it tends to do about the same thing. So yeah, it's interesting. So then I'm going to go ahead and take the red and come down and fade into the turquoise, which has a little more blue to it. It'll probably turn a little more purple, purpley brown. Which is all good. And just because it's kind of interesting to get the different colors where the veins would be, I'm going to pull the red through just to kind of get that brownish color going on in there. And I might just pull a little bit of that turquoise through there as well. It's very interesting. The bleeding shapes, a very, very interesting pattern going on there. But I'm gonna go ahead and make that work. Right, so what I need to do now is just allow this to dry. Somehow my footage got lost of the next step of color that I did, but I wanted to allow this inner paint to dry a little bit before I added any more color on the edges. I didn't want a ton of bleed going out. But what I did is I just took my paintbrush and touched red and just dots all the way around the leaf. Wasn't worried about it being symmetrical. And then I did some turquoise out here. I'm just going for a totally organic look, not trying to make it perfect by any means. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, and I will actually take my iron to this and just speed it along a little bit. I just wanted to point out that one of the things that I've noticed when I'm painting on fabric and I use the heat erase pens is that when you paint over the heat erase pen, the lines don't go away. In fact, they come across really light. And just because of the nature of this project, it doesn't bother me. So I'm not concerned about that. But anything in the future, if you're going to be painting anything and you don't want to see this, I would use something else and test it. Make sure that you don't have those lines showing through. In my machine, I have a 9014 needle. I am using an all-purpose thread, black in the top and in the bobbin. I have the feed dogs dropped, and I'm using a straight stitch, and you don't need to change the stitch length as long as you are using the free motion of your sewing machine. So this is going to be just very free form, just having fun with the shape and just designs. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and bring the bobbin thread up. If you have the needle down feature to your machine, I would encourage you to use that. That way, anytime that you stop, the needle will stop in your work, and that way it won't get lines that are all jaggedy or whatever. So yeah, just go ahead and put that feature down, and I'm just gonna do a little back and forth here just to start, just to lock my stitch in. Okay, and now I have my stitch locked in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and follow the stem of the leaf. And one of the things I like to do is actually like to go over the same lines again and again. Now, one of the things that can happen here is you can actually make a little bit of a stem shape. Try and keep my hands out of the way here. Do a little stem here. And then as I get closer to the tip, bring them closer together until they're one. But again, don't be concerned if your lines aren't, directly on top of one another. You want them to be bold, so let them cross and, overlap and go different directions a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing a little design inside my leaf. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and do an outline first of my leaf. I'm going to go back down. Reposition my hands again. Now I'm actually going to make a leaf shape, the outside edge of my leaf, quite a ways in, just because I want to make a double line. And then you can reposition. If you need to, you can turn your work so that you can see where you're going. And I'm just going to follow that line again. All right, then I'm going to come down. So I'm going to make another line kind of parallel to that one. So I've turned my work again so that I can see where I'm going. So inside these two line shape, I'm actually going to do some circles. So I'm going to turn my work so I can see where I'm going. So I've done my circle shapes, and I'm going to go ahead and do my veining inside the leaf. Just wanted to give you an idea of what it's looking like so far. I need to actually change my bobbin. I am running out of thread down there. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and finish this design. All right, I have my new bobbin in, and so now I'm just going to be doing kind of scallop loop shapes. You can just watch how I do it, and I'm going to do it all the way around the outline of this leaf. right, as far as the leaf, I think that's all I'm going to do on that. And the next part is just each of these shapes that I have out here. I'm going to go ahead and define those a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and fasten off this thread. And then I'm just going to go ahead and lift my needle and jump over to this particular shape right here. All right, this is what I have so far with my leaf. So as you can see, because of the stitching in some places and then no stitching in other places, there is puckering. But I'm gonna go ahead and put in a thread that matches this background color fabric and just do some stitching around in between all the other stitching, just to make it lay flatter. Alright, I have the stitching all done. I've trimmed this down to a 5-inch square, and I'm going to go ahead and take my cotton cord and I'm going to go ahead and use that to do the edging with the zigzag stitch. You can see how I do that if you go watch the block for January, and I will put a link above or in the description so that you can go and check to see how I do that. There is the block completed. I really hope you give this a try. If you haven't done any kind of work like this before, this is a great opportunity to do it. Work small and just have fun. Do free form, do organic. You are doing the journal quilt block of the month. Then please post your finished block. Instagram, hashtag it 12 Heidi Creates. I hope this finds you all happy, healthy, and until next time, have a great one. Bye for now.